Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Hey, how's it going? Let it rain. Happy Sunday, happy birthday week to Mr. Strat himself, Eric Clapton. Cheers. Eric Clapton's a little, how you say, polarized in his popularity now because he's been quite outspoken about pandemic stuff. But let's talk about the man and the guitar. Um, let's do that. Cheers, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good April. Did we survive April Fool's Day? Maybe, maybe not. It's kind of funny. You know, I watched my favorite morning radio show said, "Hey, let's do some crazy radio April Fool's jokes," and they weren't into it because they just figured we've had enough jokes played on us, sort of over the last 2 years. So let's just leave this alone. But anyhow, Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton is kind of like J-Lo. Every picture you see of him, he looks different. I find that was Jennifer Lopez. But I think Eric Clapton. Every era, like how he's been in so many different decades. Of course, a lot of latter decades he has not been as active because he's up there in age, and I don't think he's. Last time I heard a news report about him, he wasn't doing the greatest, but he is still out there, and hopefully we see him live play again. Overrated, I've heard so many overrated, underrated things about Eric Clapton. But one thing cannot be denied: he is up there in the gallery of greats for innovators, people that brought the guitar further, and basically, he's one of the grandfathers of guitar, up there with Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Jimi Hendrix, all of them. Clapton had a really big ego back in the 60s. Funny story, I mean, we used to go watch The Song Remains the Same at the Roxy Theater. I've talked about this before on this show. We were at the Roxy Theater on the Danforth, I guess. People will say it was the Danforth Music Hall. It was the Danforth Music Hall, but I saw it at the Roxy on, I think it was on Bloor. I can't remember. God, I'm old. I can't remember these things. Anyways, we took the subway, Kipling subway. We lived in Etobicoke or Mississauga. Jumped in the subway, went down there, and watched The Song Remains the Same over and over. But there was this Jimi Hendrix movie they sometimes put before. There was also a movie called Black and Blue, which was Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult, a live show with Dio. And then there was this Jimi Hendrix documentary, which I wish I could find or see again somewhere, because it was just interesting because it was done a long time ago. It was done in the 70s, and lots of real candid interviews. One of them interviews was with Pete Townsend, who said, he didn't really know Eric Clapton that well, but one day Eric Clapton calls him up and says, "Hey, do you want to go to the movies or something like that?" And Townsend's like, "Oh, okay." And Clapton basically went out on this, mandate with Townsend only because he wanted to talk about Jimi Hendrix and how Jimi Hendrix was coming on the scene, and he was the new hot guitar player, and Clapton was a little scared because he is at the top of the heap, and so was Townsend, and so was Beck, and soon to be Page. So they went out there and they talked about him, and then I think everybody was kind of a little blown away by Hendrix when he came around, and these guys, and Clapton was scared, and it was one of those guys. I think it's a very ego thing, a huge ego thing. I've heard it from Steve Howe from Yes and stuff like that, where someone comes out with this new guitar thing and they're like, "Oh my God, I have to learn that and play that and make sure I know how to do it." But I think Clapton was that way with Hendrix, and but he changed his styles all through his career. He heard the band music from Big Pink, and then all of a sudden he's playing I Shot the Sheriff in that kind of vein. He got away from the blues rock. The heaviest band I guess he played in was Cream, Power Trio. Again, maybe his answer to Hendrix. I don't know. He was in the Yardbirds before that. Hendrix comes along, all of a sudden he's got to be in a Power Trio. Hey, and then all of a sudden, the band and all that kind of 70s music comes around and he's playing I Shot the Sheriff. And then, the 80s and 90s come around, turns full circle and goes back into contemporary blues and stuff like that. But no denying it, he's a great player, slow hand, amazing. Went through a lot of different guitars over the years. I just want to talk a few minutes about guitars. Imagine that. Clapton, I guess he was the signature Sunburst Les Paul with the Marshall Blues Breaker. That was kind of an innovative thing. Then you kind of got people onto the Sunburst Les Paul, which wasn't that popular at one point in time. You could probably get them for pretty cheap. Now they're like $1 million. But and then in Cream was playing more Gibsons. I saw him with 335s, the SG, the full SG with the paint, the painting one, the one, and that Firebirds I've seen him with. And then when he went into the I Shot the Sheriff days, which was probably one of his biggest hits on the radio. That's the first time I heard him was I Shot the Sheriff when I was a kid. He started playing Strats. And then Strats are his sound, I think. Strats are Eric Clapton's sound. And if he plays again today live, it's going to be with a Strat, I can guarantee you. And that was probably his mainstay guitar. Now, he had a guitar named Blackie. Now, this looks a lot like Blackie. I think the good people at Fender designed this guitar, which is a reissue 57 that I own. And it kind of looks Relic and like Blackie. And then he's also got Brownie, which is an amazing Strat too, which is a brown a Sunburst. But let's talk about wear and tear and relicking, because Eric Clapton says that when he bought Brownie, it looked the way it does, which is kind of what the way my Strat looks. It's got wear, it got the wear on here. It's worn down quite a bit, and fretboard's got a lot of fretboard wear. But he said he bought it that way, and he says his whole thing was if it's worn in like that, it's like a restaurant that's got a lineup outside and packed. If a lot of people are there and there's lots of things going on, food must be good. Now, if this this guitar is all worn down and got all kinds of marks on it, must play really well if someone played it that much. So that was his thinking, and he just searched whenever he was touring in the United States, went to old music stores and bought Strats that were probably, in the 50s Strats, early 60s Strats that were probably like $300 back then, which I wish I have actually seen them for that much and kicked myself for not buying them back in the days. Especially Les Pauls in the 80s. Like, no one wanted a Les Paul in the 80s until Slash came around. I could have got them for, $400, and now they're worth thousands. But anyhow, yeah, so relicking guitars. So why I brought this up is because there's a huge polarized thing out there with guitar players where I bought this guitar relicked, just so you know. And why? Because it's probably one of the best Strats I've ever played. And it feels all worn in. It's all worn in. I don't like the brand new guitar, But people get all testy about it and say you have to put your miles on that guitar. And no, you're buying it and looking like you played 1,000 gigs. Well, who cares? Really, who cares? There's big name guitar players out there that just go get their guitars relicked. Eddie Van Halen has a relicked Wolfgang. He didn't play that for 40 years. He played it, he just got it relicked because he liked that look. It's like ripped up jeans, Rick Emmett got a guitar. I think he bought a relic thing, and that's what his wife said. Hey, it's why is it all dinged up? He goes, well, it's like ripped up jeans. He goes, oh, I get it. A distressed guitar. So, anyways, I like distressed guitars. I like the way they look. I don't care if it was done in a guy's repair shop. Um, I have guitars that have real Relic on them that I've played over the years and years and years, and I put the dents in them. That guitar there has chunks taken out of it from bar fights and stuff like that. You know, if I don't know if you can see it too clearly, but there is some chunks off the face of that. I mean, I lost the chunk off the front of that guitar in a bar, in when a bar fight started in Brockville, Ontario, and it was on a stand just like that, and the PA got pushed from a crowd of guys scrapping, and knocked my guitar over, and I actually broke parts of it, but mainly those couple chunks got taken out of the body. Still going strong, and I think it's cool war wounds, but I think these things look cool too. So, anyways, Eric, more power to you. I hope everything's well in your world. If you guys know what I'm talking about, I know a lot of people aren't guitar players who watch my show, but now you know about Relics, and you can comment if you will. I like the way they look, and I will buy more as money permits. Anyhow, the Grammy Awards are tonight. I think next week I might talk about the Grammy, unless something else doesn't happen. Jeez, weird world we live in. I may be out of town next week because it's just hockey tournament season. But I will put a show together. I will talk about the Grammy Awards. Why? I think after the Will Smith thing, everyone's going to be watching award shows now to see what happens. No. My kids are really into today's music, and they are right into it. So guess what? I don't really enjoy watching the Grammy Awards, but I think in this day and age, it's time to start keep paying attention to popular music. And of course, hard rock gets his teeth kicked in again. Hard rock always will get his teeth kicked in. Stick to your guns for what you like out there, because there's lots of great music. And there's lots of great new hard rock out there too. I'm not sure why it doesn't ever jump into the mainstream. We tried in the 90s, didn't we? Metallica. But yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, same thing. My heavy bands hardly ever get in, but we're trying. Anyhow, watch the Grammy Awards. Tell me what you think about them next week. I'm going to do a show on, of course, the guitars of the Grammy Awards. Let me do that. Let's be specific. I'm not just going to talk about the Grammys. Anyways, enough of my yak, and enjoy your Sunday. I got lots of work to do today. Man, lots of stuff to do around the house. Tell me what you think about Relics. Happy Sunday. Have a great one. Enjoy. Happy April. See ya.